Hey sis, each month inside Entrusted Women University, we feature a brand new interview. You can watch the full interview only in Entrusted Women University, but you can check out this snippet right now.
So it's just like, and I know of an author that is Christian, but got a ghost name, a ghost name, and entered into that genre, and is highly successful. But it's just kind of disheartening because as a Christian, you do want to love
Right.
and not feel dirty in the process or feel like you are not honoring God with your eyes and the content that you're taking in. And that's one of the things I love so much about the book that I've read, although I'm going to go read the other ones, the love script. So I really appreciate your heart because I think that. Well, hello, Entrusted Women. How are you? I am super pumped today because I'm with a new friend, Toni Shiloh. Hey, Toni.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. And y'all, I just finished her book. So I'm low key fangirling over here. So, for those of you who don't know about her, I want to go ahead and give you a little bit of her bio so you can run out and get her books like today. Order them on Amazon, do whatever you got to do. So let me just read a little bit about Toni. She is a wife, a mom, and an award-winning Christian contemporary romance author, which I saw that. I saw when you got the Christie Award last year. I think from Patricia Raybon was
Okay.
had Facebook or something like that. But her novel, In Search of a Prince, won the first ever Christie Amplify Award. And we could talk a little bit about that. I didn't put that in the list of questions that I gave you. It has also been praised by OprahDaily.com, Pop Sugar, Library Journal, and Booklist, and is a Parable bestseller. Her books have been finalists for the Holt Medallion and the Selah Award. As a member of American Christian Fiction Writers, Toni loves connecting with readers and authors alike via social media. And you can learn more about her on ToniShiloh.com. So, wow, welcome,
Thank
Toni.
you.
Quite a list of accomplishments. And I'd love to just start out by asking you, how did you get started in writing?
So great question. I kind of went the non-traditional route. I went straight into the military after high school. And then once I was done with my military service, I went back to get my degree. And it's as I was getting my degree, I started taking creative writing classes, and I really loved it. And it was one of those things where you're like, are teachers giving me compliments because they're biased, or do I actually have some kind of talent in this area? And so it was just a conversation with the Lord. I was like, I would love if I could somehow use this to glorify you, to share more about you. And I feel like from there, He gave me the willpower to, finish, write a book, keep writing. Um, and that's how it happened.
Wow. Okay. So, did you say what your major was when you
I did
went?
not. I majored in English.
Okay. Okay. So you do have an English background, and on top of the classes that were required for your degree, you took the creative writing courses.
Yes, exactly.
Where did you find those?
Um, so they were offered at my school. I took
Oh,
them
that's what
as
you said.
electives. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I love that story because there may be women who are watching this that may take a non-traditional route to writing fiction. And so I think it gives people hope
Yeah.
that if they went down an engineering path and they want to make a hard left into fiction writing, that they can. So that's really good. Now, when the landscape is broad in terms of fiction,
Yes.
you jumped into Christian romance genre. Why?
So I've always been the kind of hopeless romantic, right? The person watching the rom-coms, listening to other people's love stories and how they met. I just love love, to be honest. But I couldn't see myself writing a romance story without also bringing my faith into it because it's so integral to how I live and how I want to also be focused. I want to, keep my eyes on God. And like you said, the romance genre is broad and there are so many subgenres, and there are too many that aren't God honoring. And I didn't want to contribute to that. I wanted
Ooh,
to give
ooh. We getting
people,
spicy. We getting spicy. We getting spicy. Okay. Wow. Okay, keep going. Keep going.
I wanted to give people a safe place to read about romance, for those who love, and still be able to honor God in that process.
Honey, I wasn't even gonna try to go into that, but you just brought us here because when it comes to Christian romance, let me say this: I have seen so much Amish Christian fiction, and I'm
Right.
like, I don't want a Little House on the Prairie type romance. Number
Right.
one. So and that's all I ever saw. I didn't even know about that we were doing this, that we were writing urban romances or romances, Christian romance for people of color.
Right.
Then I became aware of the other side, that is completely secular, and you reading it and then you got to go repent. You so it's just like, and I know of an author that is Christian but got a ghost name and entered into that genre and is highly successful, but it's just kind of disheartening because as a Christian, you do want to love
Right.
and not feel dirty in the process or feel like you are not honoring God with your eyes and the content that you're taking in. And that's one of the things I love so much about the book that I've read, although I'm going to go read the other ones, the love script. So I really appreciate your heart because I think that's real. And there actually are probably a lot of Christians that don't know that there is a romance option
Right.
that is not um, unholy. So if that's you, sis, put that other book down that you picked up in Target and go get Tony's. Okay. Now, I want to talk to you because I mentioned about the Amish books those are the Little House on the Prairie type books. The girl got a bonnet on and she's staring at the man she loves or looking off into the distance
Right.
because I thought that was the only book that was touching on Christian romance. Um, I think that's because those are in uh high numbers,
Right.
those books. And maybe your book might be in the minority, or books like your book might be in the minority. And I don't know, but I'd love for you to speak to that,
Mhm.
to speak to any types of challenges you had inserting yourself into this genre.
Um, yes. So I think, like you said, the Amish books, they're always bestsellers. And so they get a lot of market space. People see them and they assume that that's all they have in the Christian genre. But it's not. Like, it's so not. There are so many, just besides contemporary romance, there's historical romance. Like, there's every category you can think of under the Christian umbrella. But some of us, the niche gets smaller and smaller. Add a book that has people of color, and you really shrunken that pool, right?
Wow.
Um, and so I always wanted to make sure that when people picked up my book, they would see a person of color on the cover. I didn't want to hide the fact that I'm an African American writing African American characters. I wanted people to not only see themselves for the Black person picking up the book, but for the majority group to say that, hey, we're here, we're just the same, but also see the differences, celebrate the differences. It's one thing I've always told myself, no matter what, I was going to have a person of color on the cover. And when I signed with Bethany House, that was another thing I said to them, like, I have to have a person on the cover. And I should have grabbed my copy of In Search of a Prince, but it has a gorgeous cover, a beautiful Black woman wearing a beautiful gown with a palace behind her. Like, it's perfect. But in the beginning, I I felt the odd man out, right? I was quite aware that I was a minority in this space, and I I feel like some people weren't that welcoming. I don't think they knew how to handle Black romance. And it was frustrating because I didn't see my romance any different from other white authors. Like, I'm still giving you love, I'm still giving you faith. Like, what's so different? Um, and then there are those who they didn't see that as an obstacle and they were willing to come up beside me, support me, encourage me. But like in my most darkest moment where I was like, I think I'm going to give up. I don't know if I'm just, banging my head against the wall.
When was that? When was that, Toni? When was
That was
that?
in 2020. I had already had quite a few books out, but I still felt like I was banging my head against the wall. Like I wasn't reaching not just the majority audience, but the minority audience as well. It's like,
Woo, Johnny, come on and talk about it. Come on and talk about it.
how do I find people who want to read the books that I am writing? And I wanted to give up, and I was thinking about giving up, and then I had some great writer friends. I'll just name drop a few of them: Rhonda McKnight, Vanessa Riley, Vanessa Miller, who encouraged me. They encouraged a bunch of Black Christian authors who were writing to go to this online conference, pitch a book. And at the time, I didn't have anything written, which is like kind of against the rules. You're supposed to have something already written when you pitch to an agent or an editor. But I had this idea of a princess book because I've never seen a Black princess book. And I pitched it. And they were like, that sounds great. Like, I want to hear more. So then I wrote some chapters and I got an agent. That agent quickly put it in front of Christian publishing companies, and I got a contract. And it happened so quickly that
Wow.
it could only have been God, right? Like, it was an affirmation that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, that I just needed to keep my eyes focused on Him and not on what I couldn't see, that He was behind the details. And it was amazing. Like, it blew me away.
Woo, child. This is a good interview because I think that what you're saying is a challenge that resonates not just with fiction writers, but also with nonfiction writers. I just published my first book, Overcoming Father Wounds, and I this topic is near and dear to my heart because I've seen it impact people of color, right?
Right.
But all of the outlets, majority of the outlets that I have been on to promote my book don't really target that audience. And so I totally understand the challenge, the unique challenge that we face as Christian authors of color to find our people.
Right.
And then also to what you're saying, I have seen so much support and excitement around authors of color that are pushing romance, but not Christian romance.
Right.
They have gone berserk. I mean, berserk. I mean, they're doing Instagram lives. They're having a book talk. They're on TikTok. They're doing everything about this book, this romance book that is not honoring God. And so, girl, you're saying a lot. But I love how God continuously gives winks
Yes.
You know, it's like a little wink, like, yes, girl, you ain't crazy. This is what I want you to do.
Yeah.
I'm pleased with you. Let me open this door right quick. Let me knock down this window. Let me move beyond this barricade for you. I love how he continues to do that. And obviously it was God that put it on your heart. And I think he's doing winks for people of color also,
Yes.
to say, yes, you may have been marginalized or there's a lack of minority representation, but if I want to put you here, doggone it. God doesn't say doggone it. That's not what God says. But I'm gonna put you here. Just in case y'all was like, God doesn't say that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know he don't say that. Okay, let's focus. Refocus. Back to the okay, anyways. So we get acquired, you get acquired by Bethany House.
Yes.
Um and I'm assuming you started to get some traction, but were there times and Bethany House is an imprint of uh, Baker Publishing Group, and I'm with Revell, and I love them.
Yeah.
But I do know that we can say this; it's not a secret that publishing is a very white world.
Right.
Okay, so my brothers and sisters that might see this, if you may not be white, I mean, if you may not be a person of color, I don't want you to get offended because this is reality. And so sometimes when you're a person of color, you find yourself having to advocate for people of color on the front, or advocate for certain languages that you or not languages or writing style or your voice.
Hmm.
You might have to advocate for your voice inside of your book. And there's different things you might have to advocate for, certain things as it relates to marketing of your book. It might be a little bit different than what the publishing world is used to if they don't have people of color inside of the establishment.
Right.
Okay, I'm trying to frame this. Did you experience that as it relates to, because I read your book and I was like, man, she put some references in here. She put some terminology that I know, I've some slang words.
Yeah.
Did she have to advocate? Did you have to lobby and say, no, I know my readers are going to understand what I'm saying when I say this?
For the most part, I don't feel like I have to advocate with Bethany House. The editors and everybody over there are really kind, and I feel their support when we're working on a book. Of course, occasionally, like I'm going to say something and they're like, I don't know what this means, or did you use this correctly, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, yes, like this is a this is a real slang word. This is really how it's used, however it goes. Um, and so that kind of ends the conversation. Like they trust. I think they trust me to know my reader, and so I don't have to fight or advocate. They're totally understanding. Like when I said, please give me a beautiful Black woman on the cover in a beautiful dress for my book In Search of a Prince, they were like, most definitely. Like there wasn't a question. I mean,
Hey sis, I hope you enjoyed that interview snippet, and I want you to be sure and check out Entrusted Women University by visiting membership.entrustedwomen.com to see the interviews in their entirety. And join us next week for more content to help you on your writing and speaking journey.